In this video, we're going to go over possible moves you can take to be proactive instead of reactive during bad markets. I'm going to start by going over a few strategies to think about that you could take advantage of, and then I'll share 3 steps to take to bring you more peace of mind with your finances overall. By the way, if I haven't met you yet, I'm Dave Zoller and I own Streamline Financial with Tim and Luke and Sean, and we're a retirement planning firm that's been around for over 24 years, and we've helped people through a lot of bad markets, things like the dot-com crash and the great financial crisis and pandemic in 2020. And our clients made it through, and that's because they had retirement plans that were prepared for events like that. We didn't know what was going to happen, but we knew that things were going to happen. Even if you don't feel like you've got a prepared plan for things like that, or you're feeling it right now, these strategies that we're going to go over today could help in these bad market scenarios. So let's get into it. The first thing to help during down markets is look at possible Roth conversion timing. Now, if you've been able to map out your taxes over the next few years and see how much you're paying now versus how much you might be paying in the future, then you might have found that it makes sense to convert some from pre-tax monies to Roth over a period of years. And if that could make sense or does make sense, then when the markets are down, then it could be a good time to make conversions happen. And here's an example of why as I pull up my screen here. Let's pretend that you had one index fund that was 100K, and now all of a sudden, a few months later, it's at 80K. Well, if this was the amount that you converted and sent over to your Roth, let's pretend there's a 20% tax rate. So that would be about 16K that you'd pay tax on. Again, I'm just using flat round numbers here. Well, that's about 4K less than if you were to do that about a few months ago, right? So it could be a good way to get some into Roth and pay a little bit less tax than what you would have just a few months ago. And as always, this isn't advice, specific advice for you, because we're not looking at your specific situation. The best thing to do is review it with your financial team before making any sort of decision around Roth conversions. But this is just an idea to start thinking. The next thing to do is it's another tax saving strategy. And the reason why we get so excited about taxes for our clients is because it's one of the things, and it's one of the areas that has the biggest dollar savings for them. We implement the investment strategies that add additional alpha or return to our clients' portfolios or statements. But we also know that one of the most valuable things we can do is implement the tax saving strategies as well. So the second thing to think about is TLH, or tax loss harvesting. That's essentially writing off a loss, but staying invested. If you have a sound plan, staying invested is a key part to your success, most likely, but you can still take losses throughout the year if you've got the chance. So here's an example. I'll just go back to that one we were looking at earlier. Let's pretend that you had this is a taxable account, not a retirement account, index fund that went down to 80. And let's pretend this was the cost basis of 100K. Well, you could take a loss of 20K. And what you'd be doing is sell that and then get it invested into another fund. Now, there's going to be a rule around this, so just stay tuned. There's a wash sale rule that I want to bring up in just a sec. But if you can take that 20K loss, that can help offset other taxable gains that you might have from other investments in that taxable account. So, if you had a taxable gain that you would have had to pay tax on come tax time, this can offset it. And what ends up happening is you can get that out and you have about 10K of losses left. Now, if this was the scenario and you had no more gains to offset, well, you can take 3K as a reduction of income on your taxes that year. And the rest, which would be 7, would be carried over to the following year to either offset gains there, or, I hope you can see this, or you can keep taking that 3K reduction each year. Again, this is another one that's important to look at with your financial team just to make sure it makes sense for you, or look at it with your accountants to see if tax loss harvesting makes sense. But there's an important rule that we have to pay attention to that could end up negating the tax loss harvest that we want to get benefit for. It's called the wash sale rule. And that rule states that it prohibits selling an investment with a loss and then replacing it with the same investment or a substantially identical investment 30 days before or after that loss is taken. That's an important one. If you forget that rule, then the loss is not counted, and then you end up having to you don't get benefit for it on your taxes. Before I get to the next strategy, if this has been helpful so far, let me know just by clicking the like button. Now, the next one we have to think about, the next strategy for when we've got down markets like this is simply going to be paying attention to drift. And what this is this is a simple picture of what rebalancing looks like. So this might be the scenario we're in here. If this is stocks, and then this is bonds, again, big picture, high level, and we have a period where stocks are down, then our allocation could look something like that, where it's more really our plan is to have, say, the 60-40 portfolio. Well, now we're at 50-50. So could it make sense to get rebalanced and go back to the original agreed on allocation that you had? The point of rebalancing is really just to keep things in line with what you need for the success of your plan. And the same works in really good markets, right? When the stock portion goes up and takes up a bigger piece of the pie, a lot of people are unknowingly getting more and more risky, or at least taking on adding more and more growth assets to their plan or to their portfolio. And that might not always be the best thing to do. So when you can have a proactive rebalancing strategy and really just a system so you could follow it, and you don't get, you don't have to make emotional decisions during times like this, then that can help. It's kind of like putting guardrails on, just to make things a little bit more predictable and more in line with how you originally had set up the plan. Next, I want to give you just 3 steps to think about and to use during bear markets, really now and in the future. Step 1 is identify those conservative assets in your portfolio and see how many years worth of income you have in those conservative assets. Most clients have enough to outlast the average bear market out there. If you don't know how to do that, take a look at a video that'll put up on the screen that'll give you kind of a step-by-step walkthrough on how to do that. The second step is try to refrain from making emotional decisions out of fear during bad markets or during scary markets. I know it could feel, when I watch the financial news and look at it for more than 5 minutes, they really do a good job of keeping you hooked and kind of raising that fear factor. But really, it feels like a roller coaster sometimes during bad markets, but the only thing to remember, the only people that get hurt on roller coasters are the ones who try to exit or jump out in the middle of it. The third thing is, it's really not financial related, but it's trying to quiet your brain. The highest viewership for those financial companies or financial media companies is during scary times. And as humans, it's hard not to want to stay tuned and see what's going on. But I'm fairly certain that watching the financial news doesn't positively impact people's financial plan or your accounts. It could actually do the opposite because of raising that fear level. When you have a proper plan, then we know it was prepared for both good and bad times. If you don't feel like you have a proper plan that's factoring in these different scenarios, or the withdrawal strategies or tax planning things or investments for whatever season we go through, reach out to me below. We don't always have time, but you should hear from me either way, or find another certified financial planner to talk to. Finally, I guess this would be 4th step, is keep living your life. Right? Don't let the financial news worry you to the point where it impacts the rest of your day, or if it causes you not to be present for a loved one or be present with someone that you care about. If you're worried, get a second opinion from a certified financial planner. And if you want helpful tips related to retirement for free, check out the 5-minute retirement plan below, or check out the DIY retirement plan below. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next video. Take care.